Good morning. Welcome to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Great show for you today. A lot to talk about. We have an interview coming up about 7:08, 7:10. If you have an opportunity, if you're thinking about shutting us off already, hang tight for about 10 minutes. We have L3 Harris. We have Connor talking truck simulators. Drive safe, Dave. Good morning to you, sir.
Hey, how's it going this morning? You know, kind of cool technology, kind of interesting stuff going to be happening today and talking about it. But I'll tell you what, I can't wait to get behind the controls of another gaming device.
Yeah, well, we're not getting behind it today. We're going to kind of watch it and just learn a little bit about it. Hey, producer, you know, an uncomfortable situation I was in this morning when I walk in and there's like an 1/18 of an inch mouse. I think it was a baby mouse, maybe a cockroach. And we have Drive Safe Dave acting like of mice and men trying to stomp it. You know what I'm thinking myself? Come on, Drive Safe Dave. Producer, wasn't that a little bizarre?
Yeah, no, it was pretty weird. I came in and sat down, and you know what's funny is back here in the office, Dylan was walking through, and he came in walking in with a box, and I was like, what's going on, man? What do you got? What you looking for? And he was like, mouse. And I was like, well, we have some extra. Like, hey, I'm looking for one. He's like, there's a mouse in the office. And he just walked out, and I was like, I don't know what's going on here, but I don't like the way that it's threatening.
Yes, I tried to step on it. It's a mouse. It's a rodent. I was trying
to, and I'm thinking, my God, that thing wasn't even moving that fast either. It was like somebody put me in a box. That's almost
okay.
Like,
if you're so good, you catch that thing. I want to see how
caught. Already caught it outside.
No, yeah,
it has been caught. It is gone. No more mice and men. Drive safe, Dave. A little bizarre there for me,
that
sir.
with your bare hands,
hey,
did you?
No, I used a box. Hey, Tesla. Big news on Tesla becomes one of the few companies in the United States valuation over $1 trillion. Drive safe, Dave. They join Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and Alphabet, the parent company of Google, as valuation over $1 trillion. Hey, congrats to Tesla. Obviously, big profits, lots of orders, and Hertz comes in, kind of makes the stock go up 13% alone yesterday with 100,000 Tesla vehicles ordered by the end of next year.
Yeah, that's a lot. And I guess what that's going to really do is that's going to expose most everyone, if any way, shape, form, or fashion, to an electric car, right? I mean, you put 100,000 on the road. It gives them an opportunity to rent one when they go into a city and be exposed where they've never been exposed before.
Yeah, so it's going to, without a doubt, it's going to give a lot of exposure on it. You know, now we're going to have the thing, did you charge it before you brought it in, right? I mean, then now we got the charging station. So a lot of technology going to happen on the technology side, producer.
Well, Hertz is also going to be investing in charging locations on the common routes that they're going to be renting a lot of these cars at. So a lot of this order isn't just for the vehicles themselves. They're also investing in charging stations. So it's kind of an infrastructure investment as well. So pretty big move coming in from Hertz, who definitely faced bankruptcy last year, reinvesting, and maybe it'll pay off, maybe it won't, you know?
Yeah, it was. I thought it was a huge move. It also jumped Hertz's stock up as well. But nothing like Tesla.
Was it not right? Didn't Hertz file bankruptcy during COVID last year? And here they are making a great move because they're making exceptional profits and jumping in the game. I mean, a good move actually on both parts.
Yeah, Hertz. You know, we go into some of what's Hertz, the problems that presented Hertz. Also was rental vehicles. You know, with people not traveling, that's always an issue. But a lot of Uber drivers, you didn't know that, a lot of Uber drivers rent their vehicles, especially in the larger cities. They rent them from folks like Hertz, and all of a sudden, people kept flying in, and those guys, the Uber drivers couldn't afford the vehicles either, giving them back to Hertz, and Hertz running into a lot of problems.
Yeah, but here we go. We got an opportunity to jump out there, and I'll tell you, I'm pretty excited. They're gonna have a whole lot of different variety of cars, and you're gonna get to choose what power that you have, either a C or a D battery going into your car when you come into the airport. You get to choose, or you get one of those little flat ones that you get to put in your car before you get in them at the airport.
Hey, a lot of content. We're gonna go back into a little transportation news. So here we have now a lot of problems going out there on the port of LA. Open 24 hours a day. You know, so let's talk about that for a second. Open 24 hours a day. let it be known that the Port of LA is still looking for people to participate in this program as well. You can be open all day, but if nobody's working with you, it's not doing a lot of good.
I work 8 to 5, brother. I work 8 to 5. I gotta pretty much. I got a clock. I gotta be home. You know what I mean?
So open 24 hours a day, not having a lot of participants, and now on top of everything else, you have the Gulf Coast ports, the East Coast ports shipping over out of Canada as well. Shipping over all of these empty containers into that Port of LA, making it an even bigger mess. Last couple weeks, nearly 2,000 empty containers are coming into the port. And Drive Safe Dave, the interesting thing about that is that on the empty side of the containers, it's first come, first serve. First come, first serve. When we all know what first come, first serve means. However, in the container business, especially in LA, when you get there and they have no space, they turn you around. You're done. And so now you go in there to drop an empty container off and probably pick one up because they're open 24 hours a day, only to be turned around because they have no room for the empties.
We'll just drop it out the street outside.
We talked about that as well, right? The neighborhoods now have new boxes going on everywhere, and it really is. It's an issue. It's a major issue as these empties continue to come in. And think about it from a driver standpoint. As we have a little fun with this, we see it in the port up there in the Northeast. We see it also in Port of LA area. These trucks have to wait hours to get in there only to be turned around because there's no room. It's another logistics nightmare that when you can't drop an empty off, you can't pick one up. So nobody really wants to take the empties in. Why would you waste your time taking an empty in if you may get turned around?
Back in line. Get back in line. I mean, go drop your empty somewhere else, but come back and get back in line for 4 or 5 hours. I was even seeing that some of the guys were waiting up to 8 and 9 hours to get in to pick up their container.
Yeah, so again, we talk productivity. We talk issues that are in this transportation. It's a mess, and it continues just to get a little messier. We've got to figure this out. And I don't know if we can keep saying this. I don't know if there's a true answer right now. We've seen also the with holiday sales coming up, right? It's almost Christmas, Black Friday, all these sales, and everybody's saying, don't expect the same sales as you had before. There's not going to be that many bargains. Yes, shippers are worried, and people are worried about their product coming in. There's not going to be as many sales. We talked about Thanksgiving already, how we expect to spend 20 to 30% more on your Thanksgiving dinner this year. About the same thing's going to go to your holiday gifts. They're saying this. The professionals, not me, those people that are in charge of the retailers are saying, people are still going to order. We are going to see record orders during this season, and they don't know how they're going to get it. It's major. It's major chaos as we enter into peak season.
Yeah, and not only I foresee, and this is just a guess, but if you order it and you still wanted it, Christmas may not fall on the 25th when it comes to a package this year, right? It may not fall on Christmas morning wrapped up under a bow. It may come under your front door January 3rd, right? I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it truly may not make it there by Christmas Day, especially if you haven't ordered early.
Yeah, and more, we talk about just some of the transportation. It's just a mess. We had high winds over the weekend, knocking off, 40 containers into the ocean. And Drive Safe, listen to this. I have it right here. It was the Zim Kingston. That was the name of the ship. Lost 40 containers at sea during the weekend, only to have Sunday a fire breakout on 10 of the containers. Okay, now they just lost 40 with the high winds. And you know what? What a crappy luck, And now I got 10. I'm going to tell you how bad my luck is. Can I tell you how bad my luck is? I have 10 containers on fire right now, and the containers have some kind of hazardous, it's some kind of potassium in which you're unable to apply water directly to the containers. Those containers that have the fire, the potassium, the chemical says, hey, I don't like water. And here you are stuck in an ocean with all the water you want to use, and you can't spray it directly on the fire.
It will cause a fire.
It will cause a fire.
All of the elements on the far left-hand side of the periodic table of the elements will start a fire if they touch water. Lithium, potassium, all of those on the far left. Potassium is K on the periodic table of the elements.
So there you go. That's the kind of years that we're going to, that's our year in transportation right there. Even when bad things happen, a fire, you're stuck in the ocean in which you can't use water. You know, it just continues to go on and go on and go on. And we don't know when it's going to end. For one thing, though, for certain, one thing that is in our control, though the transportation, you know, all the logistics isn't, you know what is? It's safety. It's your ability to drive safe, your ability to control, you know, some of the issues around you, to make sure that you know that there's going to be a lot of chaos and you're going to slow it down and you're going to increase that space. Drive Safe Dave, we are lucky, and we're going to come back in about 60 seconds as we talk to L3 Harris, because what they do in these truck simulators is allow you to practice on things that you just can't do. Can I give you an example?
Bring me a situation in which
60 seconds I will. This is BCB Live, and we're the safest station in the nation. Welcome back to BCB Live. We are the safest station in the nation. And hey, we're glad to be here today with you as we bring in L3 Harris. We have Connor with L3 Harris. Hey, Connor, good morning to you. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing good. Good morning, Rick. How are you guys?
Doing wonderful, doing wonderful.
Hey, how you doing this morning? Hey, it's exciting to have you to bring some new information and some great stuff this morning about L3 Harris. Why don't you tell us who you are and what you do there?
Yeah, so as already was mentioned, my name is Connor. I'm with L3 Harris, and I am the sales manager for their driver training solutions division. So what we do basically is we create software, we have training solutions for drivers as well, and most importantly, as already was mentioned, we have simulators that we have created for drivers. And we've been around for a long time. We've been in this business for a long time doing the simulators, but most importantly, with the driving simulators, these are things that help increase both driver habits and efficiency. As you guys already know, with driver safety, 95% of the accidents are caused by driver error and poor decision making. And so really what our driving simulators do is they are geared towards making sure that we can teach drivers good habits and good decision making. And so that's really what they're geared towards, and that's what we do here at L3 Harris.
Gotcha. Hey, Connor, so for those of you that aren't familiar with that name, the L3 Harris, I was talking to Connor before the show, and we're just kind of laughing at this, and you may wonder, well, what makes L3 Harris, the company itself, right, able to do that kind of technology? I mean, a truck simulator is not easy, but listen to this. If you're wondering about some of the qualifications that the company has, they were just awarded a $947 million contract to improve the B-52 self-defense. I think they probably know a little bit about technology. Hey, Connor, there's things in the truck simulator, right, that we don't want to have hands-on training. Let me give you an example. We certainly don't want to take a driver out and have a tire blown. Let's just say a steer tire blown and say, all right, let's figure this out. Not the place to do it on the road. What do you have to that kind of addresses items like that?
Absolutely. Great question, Rick. So with this, the nice thing is with our simulators, like you were saying, you are able to simulate a lot of different scenarios that really wouldn't be possible in the real world you just can't simulate a tire blowout. You can't do these things without putting your drivers as well as the equipment in harm's way. And so really what our simulators are designed to do is they allow drivers to get this valuable experience that they really couldn't get in any other way, and do it in a safe way as well. I was actually, this is interesting. I was actually talking to your director of safety the other day, Robert, and he was mentioning how one of your drivers had previously had a chance to train in one of the simulators when he was first coming up in the driving world. And he mentioned that because of the training he received in those simulators, it actually helped him nearly 10 years later when he encountered one of these situations. And he credits the simulators to keeping him safe and being able to maneuver in the situation that he found himself. And so that's really what the simulators are designed to do. They're designed to give you this hands-on experience without actually being in the vehicles themselves. Now, we always do mention that, the simulators aren't a replacement for actually driving. You still have to get out there and you have to practice in a real vehicle. However, they do allow you to gain the habits and the skills necessary for you to be effective, so that when you're actually in those situations, you know what to do, you know the decisions that you should be making, and you can make them with confidence. And so that's really what the simulators are designed to do. They allow you to gain the skills and the habits necessary to be an effective driver.
I was watching some of the videos and the training videos, and it was really interesting to notice how you can incorporate not only manual transmission to automatic transmission, but different types of vehicles and apply them in the scenario that best fits what you need to be training for. That's pretty fascinating. How much do you involve other types of manufacturers to get into your training videos?
Yeah, great question. So, with it, we try to make these scenarios as lifelike as possible. And so we're going to incorporate a lot of different things from, as you mentioned, different vehicles. We don't just make transport sims. We also make sims for police, for EMS, for firefighters, for waste management. And so we have a wide variety of vehicles that we can train on, different types of loads that people can use, everything from, a box to a tank or so, and you really get the experience with the vehicles that you're actually using. Not only that, you're going to get a lot of different environments that you're going to be able to train on. So everything from city to urban to rural to mountain, desert, we try to give you as lifelike of scenarios as possible. And when you're in these different scenarios as well, we also try to tailor them to make them seem as lifelike as possible as well. So vehicles are going to travel at different speeds because, as you guys know, on the road, not everyone drives the same. Some of us actually have training for driving and others don't. And so, you're going to encounter all these different types of scenarios within the simulator so that it is as lifelike as possible for the drivers.
Hey, Connor, when it comes to some of the situations, one big thing we talk about on the show all the time is fatigue. And what happens when you start falling asleep, when you start losing some of that awareness around you? Do you address items like that as well?
We do, and a lot of that can come in our curriculum. So if you guys don't already have a driving curriculum that you're doing, we also have that available as well that you guys can get from us. But we do teach you like the SMART method that we have for defensive driving. And, part of that actually with the S, it's scan around, but it's also to talk out loud to yourself. So say it out loud. And different habits like these actually help drivers address some of these fatigue problems. When you're starting to fall asleep and, if you see something up ahead of you, like a dog or a car at an intersection, just saying things out loud actually activates a different part of the brain so that now all of a sudden you become more alert. We definitely teach you a lot of these different habits and skills with our curriculum as well as in the scenarios we have. And that's really when the simulators are going to be most effective, is when they're incorporated into some type of curriculum that has a specific objective for what you guys are wanting to be teaching. Instead of just drivers being a passive learner in the experience, the reason why simulation training is so effective is they get to become an active participant in the learning process. So instead of you just telling them, hey, this is what you should be doing, Now you get to tell them, hey, this is the habits we're looking for. Now we're going to jump over to the simulator and we're going to actually have you practice how to do it. And so now that it sticks with people a lot longer than, someone who's just been told something, they're going to forget it probably within the next few days. But if someone's actually done it, now that's going to stick with them long term.
You just helped me out a little bit outside the simulators. Drive Safe Dave, he's always talking to himself, and forever I'm thinking because nobody will talk to him, it turns out he's trying to stimulate himself.
Yeah, not only that, it's a training process that I've learned from a long time ago, so I do appreciate it. We talked about not only behind the wheel, but you're also helping to train outside the vehicle, right? In some of the simulation processes, pretty interesting stuff when you do the pre-trip, right? You actually use different aspects, right, when you're training?
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually have our Hawkeye, which is a VR headset that people can put on, and it allows them to simulate this pre-trip inspection that they should be doing. And it's incredible technology. So it actually feels like you are standing right there next to a semi, full-size semi, and you actually get to walk around this semi and actually interact with it. So if you want to open up the hood of that semi, you can go around to the front of it, grab the hood of it, pull it open, look inside, look for the things you should be looking at, check the brakes, check the tires. You can get down on your hands and knees, see if you're missing any lug nuts or things like that. And there's a couple of different modes in this. So you have your training mode, which will actually help them. It will create different zones that they need to walk around to. And then a list will pop up of things that they should be looking for and inspecting. And so it teaches them how to get in this habit of actually doing a pre-trip inspection and what they should be looking for. And then you have your different modes as well, where you can do like an assessment so that you can see how well they've learned what they have been taught. And so really, it is an amazing way to involve drivers in this learning process and have them become active participants in it and actually, do what it is that you are teaching them to do.
Yeah, I really liked one of the scenarios in which you were inspecting the steer tire and there was a bubble on the steer tire, right? So you actually see real problems happening and you get to identify them and mark them on your inspection sheet. So it's not just, hey, this is what you need to be doing. This is some of the things you need to be looking for.
Yeah, if you're out there and you have a
Absolutely.
question for Connor as well, I want to make sure that you get a chance to raise your hand or type the question to the producer so we can get that out. Hey, Connor, question for you. The pre-trip, is this like a package deal? It only comes with the simulator, or is that, can you get one without the other?
Yeah, great question. So you can get one without the other. That's always an option. If you want to buy something from us, we're never going to say no. But, there always usually is a sweetheart deal for, if you want to package something together. So sometimes it is beneficial getting them together.
Always
But
the
if you
same.
already have one, we can get you the other.
I've seen pricing on these simulators. They're not really the sweetheart, but you know what? It's like, you know what, Connor, but it really is. It's much like buying a truck. With it as well comes a maintenance package, the warranty package for the updates that comes through it. It's an investment, but when it comes to safety, when it comes to training, hey, listen, what we do believe is that it does cost money. You've got to make yourself a little bit better, and the only way to do that, the only way to train on some things are with a simulator. It's the only way you can do it. Hey, producer, we have a question out there?
Yes, we do. We got Edward Lester on the line today. Edward, what do you have for us today, sir?
Morning, Edward.
Hey, good morning, fellas. How y'all doing this morning?
Doing wonderful.
Hey, my question is I've been reading some here and there about the younger generation, attempting to get their license and everything. Are these schools going to use these simulators in order to help train these guys? Because, some of these younger generations now are not like us old school cats, It's not like what it used to be where it was actually hands-on training, from generation to generation,
Hey, Connor, did you hear that question okay?
I did. Yeah, and so that's a great question. We actually have a lot of schools now that are implementing the simulators into their driving curriculum. And so it's great. They're actually one of our bigger customers is these schools. And especially when it comes to like teaching CDL, things like that, we have our courses, which are designed to help train a lot of drivers on these different habits that are included in these courses. And so that is a big thing that people are doing nowadays. And so it makes a huge difference when they're able to have these in their classes. As I mentioned earlier, Robert, your safety director, had mentioned how one of your drivers had a chance in one of his driving schools to train on a simulator. And it does make a difference because this allows them to store these lessons and these techniques, skills that they learn in these courses in their long-term memory as they become active participants in it. And really, you can't do it in any other way because there's just, with that many students, it's hard to get out in an actual vehicle. And as we mentioned before, you really just can't simulate some of the environments or things that you want to train in a real life scenario without putting both people and equipment in danger.
Yeah, and Edward, great question, great comments on that. One thing I will say, and we've learned it right over the years from talking to a lot of old school drivers, is a lot of these old school drivers learned to drive without a license too, right? I mean, they just got out there and run, and at the end of the day, we don't want that anymore. We want to make sure we're improving everything in our industry, and there's so much, technology that I don't think you can really get away very long without running without a license, especially 14, 15, but back in the day, Drive Safe Dave, that's a lot of these folks learned that young.
Yeah, and now we get to an opportunity to not only rely on technology, but bring new ideas and new ways. Never do you want to know about jackknifing, right? But this gives an opportunity to understand it. Does it do inclement weather? I hadn't seen any of the scenarios. Do you do inclement weather, bad road conditions, accident scenes, all those real world scenarios?
Yeah, great question. So we do that for all of those things. So inclement weather, you can allow all of these different settings. So whether you want to simulate ice or snow or rain, you can do it at night or in the morning or in the evening. So you really can train all these different types of scenarios that you want to. And really, if there's not a scenario set up exactly how you already want it, you already have the scenario built into the simulation software so that you can recreate any of these situations yourself and tailor them to be exactly what you want. So if you guys have had a recent accident or something, or if you have a common problem with a different road or area on one of your routes, you can recreate that same route or scenario within the simulation, and then you can have your drivers practice on it. We had one company who, in one of their yards, had a difficult turn that their drivers were always missing, and they were banging up their trailers. And, as was mentioned before, yeah, the simulators may not be cheap, but it's a lot cheaper than having to replace your equipment all the time. And that's a big thing is once people implement these simulators into their training curriculum, usually they can see anywhere from a 15 to 36% reduction in accidents. And so they start to pay for themselves very quickly. As you increase both driver safety, efficiency, and that operational efficiency with how they're performing. But as I was mentioning earlier, you can create any of these different types of scenarios into the software. We already have a lot of these preset, so more than likely you're going to find something that's already pretty close to what you're wanting to train on. But like I said, if you have a very specific scenario that either you want us to create or you want to create yourself, we can definitely do that, and we can have it set up for you guys so that you can train your drivers on those scenarios.
Hey, Connor, we have one more question, but before that, I have one for you. Do you have one set up yet for that autonomous vehicle where you're just kind of sitting back right here and letting it do its own thing?
That's not what I want to know. I want to know, does it, and by the way, if you have that, I saw that setup and everything, does it all cross over with the Xbox so that I can play Call of Duty in that thing?
Hey, we have a real question for you. Hey, producer, give us that last question for the day.
Yeah, so this one's coming from Justin Hayes. So he's saying that schools typically charge a lot of money to get students in and out of these places. Have you guys seen these schools with smaller budgets able to bring in some of these simulators in order to put out more drivers, or has it typically been the more commercial places?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the nice things is a lot of these schools, even if they're smaller, are usually able to get some type of grant or funding, which will help pay for the simulators as well. And so, if you have any questions about that, reach out to us. We can help you guys get set up so that you can, not necessarily have to take care of it all yourself. There's usually some type of funding out there that we can help you guys secure that will allow you guys to get a simulator. If it's something that you're thinking about, definitely reach out to us and we can start working with you guys in a way to figure out, how we can get you a simulator.
All right. Hey, we love rolled back pricing all the time here on BCB Live. Hey, Connor, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for sharing some of this technology with us and our listeners, our viewers. Thanks a lot. Hey, appreciate what you do and stay safe out there, okay?
Hey, thank you guys. Take care.
All right. Hey, just a great piece of technology, and it's set up, Drive Safe Dave, to make this industry a little bit safer, practicing, and you said it right, on items that you just don't want to learn on, that black ice out there on the road. You'd much rather learn how to handle it in that simulator than out there on the road.
Yeah, coming down a hill on a jackknife situation, I definitely would rather try that out in a simulator than train somebody doing that in real life situation. It's not something that you want to learn the hard way, because it is definitely scary. But you know what? Neat to know that you can implement and put together some scenarios, specific scenarios to train in some of the things you want to work on.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, we'll be back in 60 seconds with Buckle Up Bob. And before we do that, though, Drive Safe, we're going to get that phrase that pays.
Ego is not your amigo. When they cut you off, just brush it off.
We'll see you in 60 seconds.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Hope you're off to a good start today. So we're going to look a little bit at the traffic situations out there with some of the major cities that you may or may not be heading towards. You can see we start with the DFW area. A lot of congestion this morning. There's a lot of construction going around in the area, and we've got the rush hour traffic. You can see a lot of potential slowdowns. Almost the entire loop around Dallas has some. You're going to run into some sort of slowdowns. Again, 360. 30 coming between the two cities. And then the Fort Worth area out by the Meacham Airport, you can see a little bit of a slowdown back here. That's a lot of construction as they come up to the 35W merger. So you can expect some good 15 to 25 minute delays there. Again, coming up here to the 20 split on 287. Also going to see some slowdown right here as you approach the merge there as well. So you're coming to the DFW area, pack your patience, as we like to say, because you're going to run into some good 15 to 20 minute delays all around the Metroplex this morning. Hey, as we look into the Kansas City area, not too bad. I know, get used to that. I don't know what they do up there. Maybe they're not under construction, but they just don't seem to have the traffic issues. The loops all look clear. Just some very small spots. You might see some 5 to 10 minute delays just in some very isolated areas around the Kansas City Metroplex as you go through that area this morning. Hey, Chicago. Chicago looks good. Again, across the coming from Indiana, a little bit of a slowdown there as you approach 57, crossing 394. But the loop, the 355 loop, up to 90. Even down here by Bolingbrook, that's usually congested, looks good as we start the Chicago commute this morning. Not a lot going on, so probably one of the better days you're going to have as you run into Chicago this morning. Philadelphia area looks typical, nothing out of the ordinary, but nothing not all that great either. You can see the turnpike again as you head into the downtown area is going to create some slowdowns. New Jersey side looks pretty good. A little bit here by Haddonfield, you might see a 15-20 minute delay, but all in all, not too bad. Just the turnpike itself as you come into the Philadelphia area this morning. Atlanta, whew. Atlanta looks horrible this morning, as you can see. Just the southeastern loop, western loop that you go around the airport. But 285 here is all congested for quite a long time, even up by Sandy Springs, the northern quadrant. Obviously downtown, which remember, just a reminder, trucks cannot pass through Atlanta. You got to take the loop around it unless you're delivering inside the loop. But you can see 20 coming from the east out here by Stonecrest. You are going to run into a good 10-mile stretch of heavy traffic this morning as you come into the Atlanta area. Nashville has its usual congestion. 24 looks very congested this morning, all the way back to Rosswood, coming up to Beverly Heights. And then again, 40 coming from the east. You can see once you get to the loop there, it starts to back up but you can take the loop around and should be okay as you come through the Nashville area. As we look at the D.C. and Baltimore area, not too bad. You know, typical up here by Pikesville and Woodlawn. You can see a little bit of slowdown. And again, over here on Towson and Parkville, you're going to see some slowdowns. The D.C. area, the entire eastern loop, side of the loop is all congested. So a lot of traffic this morning as you come into the Washington, D.C. area. Even on the southwestern corner, 95 as you come up into the D.C. area, also congested. Just a lot of, pack your patience, as we say. You're going to expect some 30 to 40-minute delays in the D.C. area this morning. Hey, as we look at our weather, we talked about it yesterday a little bit, but you can see that northeast. We said you're going to have a lot of rain, so you can see upper New Jersey, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, most of the state of New York having some quite heavy rain as we go through this morning, and just some scattered showers back here in the Denver-Utah line and up in Montana and then out in the northwest. As we kind of warned yesterday, the big story is going to be the winds as we go through the day. And there you go. You can see at 1 p.m. Currently, we are already, and I'll show you, we have already experienced some 47 to 50 mile an hour gusts, especially here in Utah. Let's let it populate a little bit. But you can see 9 a.m. this morning, you can see New Mexico. You're going to have right here in the southern quadrant of Colorado, right? We're going to see some potential 60 mile an hour gusts. See if it'll give it to me. Nope, it won't. So this morning it's just not populating right. So we'll just kind of breeze through there a little bit. There we go. Here we go. The 38 up here, 51 mile an hour gusts just along that I-70. So again, we are already seeing some areas where you should not be driving. Down here in New Mexico, some 37 mile an hour gusts. And we had one also here. Utah was getting some. So it looks like the conditions in Utah have cleared up from about a half hour ago. Don't see a lot. So it's all moved into the Colorado area. You can see it's in the western half right now. And that's going to get worse as we go through our day. And we'll show you the forecast as we go through, because you can see right now just a few areas. But as we go to the 3 p.m., you can see the entire New Mexico, Colorado starts to move into the panhandles and into western Kansas as well. And as this goes through, again, it grows, starts to die down, I believe around 8 or 9. There you go. It shrinks a little bit, but it's still going to be plenty of wind out there overnight. And then going into tomorrow afternoon, you can see it shifts to the east a little bit. The panhandles, eastern Colorado, and then you start seeing Kansas, Nebraska, all through the state of Texas. We're going to see some strong wind gusts for tomorrow as well. So this is kind of going to be the norm for the rest of the week. We're just going to see a lot of heavy wind with that bomb that came through California. All that is now pushing a little bit east as you go through, about a couple of states a day. You can see the snow. We've got some snow in the forecast in the upper elevations in Colorado and Wyoming for this afternoon. Not much accumulation. And then tomorrow, you can see a little bit of lingering snow, but then you can see the thunderstorms fire up in Texas, Oklahoma, as a cold front pushes through. I think we're supposed to be down in the 40s and 50s by the weekend here in the DFW area for our lows. So be ready for that. Hey, we're going to take a quick break and be right back with some safety.
Welcome back to BCB Live. Yes, indeed, we are the safest station in the nation. Buckle up, Bob. We had a great interview with L3. Just amazing technology, right? On what these simulators can really do to help us, help the drivers out there be a little safer.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best technologies out there for the training. You know, we do videos and questions, but I just don't think that's the same as you get that real hands-on. I heard you talk about some of these conditions, you know, and you can pick a quarter and send your entire fleet through these scenarios that they just may not, you don't see them every day, and so all of a sudden they come out of nowhere on you, and then you've got to be ready for it. I love the simulators.
Yeah, the pre-trip, post-trip as well. You know, having that on, be able to, you know, open a hood or whatever that was. That again is hands-on. That's how you train, you know, the new drivers. That's how you train anybody on what's expected. Some of the ways they use this as well is to maybe give you back points. You know, some companies will charge you points for, you know, for something you did wrong out there, and other companies will use this technology to also give you some training to improve your score as well.
Yeah, and then you know, one of the things that comes out in these lawsuits is training. They actually look at, like, when a driver has an accident in ice or snow on inclement weather roads. Was that driver trained? What did the company do for that? So a lot of that can help go along protecting these companies from the liability issue as well. Hey, we got this week we've been talking a little bit about our hours of service. And so yesterday we did the major infractions. These are considered infractions, although they call them minor, but they still hit your company's CSA scores, and it's very easy to avoid. And that's just certifying your logs, right? That's a one kind of form of manner. Also, making sure that your bill of lading number and your trailer, your equipment number is on your logs. So you just got to make sure that that's what you're doing, and it's very simple, right? Before you move that vehicle, you review the previous day's logs, and if they're correct, you certify them. If they're not, you get them corrected. Get with your safety department, find out what the situation is, and get them corrected so that you can certify them before you start. And then every on-duty status gives you the opportunity to put your equipment, the correct equipment, and bill of lading number in there. And so these are just ones that should be just like drug and alcohol, and that should always be 100% avoidable as you go through. Hey, we got some videos today. We've got some really good ones, some great learning ones. Here, this first one, you know, again, drivers letting it go. You know, for me, you got that merge lane there too. Maybe let it go a little sooner. But look at this. I paused this, and at right about here, there is only 40 feet because at the one point I paused it, the rear trailer is on the one dash, and the front of this is starting the other one. So you know, we talk all the time that the spacing is 30 feet, the dashes are 10. So less than 40 feet here at over 65 miles an hour. Just crazy. So again, this driver does a great job keeping the space in front of them. But you maybe just want to back out of this when you see something like this, because if something goes wrong right now, you still don't really have a great out.
That's when you get on the CB and you go, hey, driver, BCB Live, tune in Monday through Friday.
Hey, this next one, again, you know, believe it or not, this is a great video that's going to happen from another vehicle standpoint. But I just want everybody to realize that the spacing in here seems okay, but it's less than a second. I timed it. It's less than a second. Now you start to see it starts to increase. Right here, there's a tailgate situation going on. And then you're going to have a vehicle passing on a double yellow line coming up as well. And this driver does a pretty good job of maybe seeing it and starts to increase the space. But remember, stay out of that tailgate situation to begin with, because these people are out here.
On a bridge, no less. Starts the passing process on a bridge.
Just crazy. Hey, this driver does a good job, but remember, Stay on green lights. They're going to change, folks. You got to slow down. As you can see, that's not happening. Prepared to stop. You got to be prepared to stop. This driver did the right thing by not running through this. But again, help yourself out. Did the driver do a safe thing? Yes. Was it the safest thing that they did? No, because they needed to slow down maybe just a little bit before, and then this doesn't become such a last-minute decision. Here again, good job. But again, you see that ramp sign, 25 miles an hour. This vehicle never got under 26. Remember, these speed limits are for cars, four-wheelers, not trucks. So you got to be under that speed limit just to avoid. We're going to see a lot of wind coming through this country all week. That little, you get a 40, 50 mile an hour wind gust right here in this curve, and you're going to glide over, right, Drive Safe?
Absolutely. It can push you right over. That inertia alone is going to add to whatever wind force that you get. It can flip you.
Yeah, got to slow down in the wind, folks. It's going to be all week throughout the country. Here, love this. We talked earlier about impatience, packing your patience, and not making that lane change with traffic kind of going pretty quick in the lanes around you. This driver demonstrates that. Look at it. Just stay there. You're not going anywhere. You can see up ahead. There's traffic on both sides of you up ahead. So you jump out there, you might gain a spot or two, but what if you risk? Great job. Stay in your lane.
I like the distance between the vehicle and the truck. A lot of concrete.
And here, for me, this gets the award for the day. Look at this. Stopped but well before the track because wasn't sure it could fit in between the track and the light, and just being patient and waiting for that light to change. Outstanding job, driver. This was what you're looking for. Stay on this side of the tracks. Wait for that. Make sure. Great job there.
Yeah, I will agree 100%. Some great decisions in there. Increase your speed, increase your space, reduce your speed. Watch those curves, right? As we get on those in 25 miles an hour. Hey, reduce your speed down to 20. Just go a little bit under that. Remember, those are made for cars. And as we run into the next couple of days, it is going to be some serious wind out there. So some major wind up in Kansas, I believe, today, tomorrow. It's going to move across this country. You've got to be ready for that. Get ready for alerts to come out from your company saying, if you have an empty, we may not want you to move. Get ready for that as well.
Absolutely correct. Make sure that, everybody, the driver managers, companies out there, if you're listening, make sure your planners, everybody needs to be involved in the decision so they all can prepare. Customer service, they have to let the customers know that the winds are kicking up, and you can be able to share that data with them as well.
Yeah, and I'm going to go one step further when Buckle Up Bob says, if you're listening, I'm saying listen. Listen. That wind is for real. It'll knock you over. It'll create some bad things. It can also take you from a safety streak of your own and ruin it and knock it over because it's out. You've got to slow down during this. You've got to put checks and balances in place for these trailers on the weights as well. You as a driver, you as a company, you have accountability to what you can do out there. Don't be another statistic in a wind blowover.
Yeah, yes. and no one knows better than the driver of what's going on out there right when they're there and right what they're doing and knowing full well the environment in which you're in and the decisions that you need to make at the moment that gives you the best opportunity for success. And every driver knows that when that gust of wind starts happening and you feel it. You can feel it in the steering wheel, you can feel it in the seat, you can feel how it affects the vehicle, you can see it leaning the trailer. Man, it's time to find a spot and call in and let everybody know. Not only am I but I'm encountering this. If anybody else is around, let them know too, because that's what we're counting on. Not only you doing it for you, but you doing it for everybody else out there on the road.
And as roads start to get a little worse, we're getting into winter time. Before long, a little bit of snow on the road, black ice, or anything like that, drive safe, and wind, that can do some damage too. We've got to make sure that we're staying focused. Producer, if we have any questions, comments, hey, let us know on that. Otherwise, I just want us to say that, again, that simulator, it can do the same thing. It can put you in there with that 40, 50 mile an hour wind and show you here what it's doing to you. So out there, you don't drive. Show you here what it's like. So when you encounter it out there, you pull over, you don't make it happen. Producer, who do we have?
Yeah, we got David Mason on the line. What do you got for us today, sir?
Good morning, gentlemen. I was just going to say I've been in the situation with high winds and not made the best decisions. Never got blown over, but been empty going to pick a load up in Canada, and let's just say doing about 20 mile an hour, I watched the left rear trailer tires come off the ground 4 times in a 1 hour period, and puckered that seat up in a little bit, trying to get to the pickup, and I didn't care for it then, and I probably, like I said, it wasn't the smartest thing in the world.
No,
So definitely, when you get that bad, definitely time to pull over.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mason. We appreciate those comments, and that's the part is when you see these wind conditions and what we have today versus say even 15 years ago are weather apps that will help us identify the areas we're going to. And as we again get into this inclement weather, it's not just important to know what's going on where you are right now. It's also important to know where you're going and what are you headed into. And if you're headed into windy conditions, into snow, ice, you've got to know about that right now so you can plan your trip.
Yeah, and when you do decide to pull over and you do find a spot and you realize that it is windy and you see the trailer tires move or what have you, and you understand the danger that you have, make sure when you do park, place your nose into the wind. Don't put your sail to the side and take the entire gust of that wind. Even parked, you can be blown over. So you want to make sure that you nose into the wind to minimize drag, because the vehicle is designed to minimize drag going forward. So if you nose into the wind as well, you'll minimize the effect on the truck.
All right. Hey, you got to drive safe, Dave. Great show today. Buckle up, Bob. Love everything we had. Love the interviews that we continue to have here on BCB Live. Make this part of your day. Set your alarm. We start at 7 o'clock. We last till around 8 o'clock. Listen to what we're talking about. We have news, we have weather, we have road conditions, we have great information, and then we have other information we just kind of throw out there. But it's all good information. Producer, we got one more call.
Yeah, David Mason, what you got for us again, sir?
Oh, I was just going to add to what Dave just said. Kind of modify it maybe just a little bit. When you park sometimes in the winter, you might want to put your tail in straight with the wind instead of your nose, because if you don't have a winter front, I have been in a situation with 50 mile an hour wind, parked, blowing right through the radiator and the heater not working very well. Had to turn around and face the nose away from the wind, still in the straight line like Dave was talking about, but radiator away from the wind so your heater will work. That's all I was going to add.
No, you know what? Just another reason why we need your comments here, because y'all know a lot more than we do. Hey, let's close this out with a prayer. Our dear Heavenly Father, we're so grateful for all that you do for this company. We're so grateful for all of the drivers that you blessed all of us with. We ask you to keep them safe. You make them to give them the best opportunity to make the best decision. Give us the wisdom, Lord, to make the right decisions as leaders of companies, as leaders of our trucks, as leaders of our families. We ask all this in your name. Amen. Everybody, we'll see you this afternoon on BCB Live. And yes, we are the safest station in the nation.
Drive safe.